All right, so we're live. Welcome, guys. I am finally back. This is a bit of a step. It's nice to actually, I guess, signify getting back to normal. We have our special guest, Orange Hat Reviews tonight. We have, of course, Rosetta, and the rest of our panel, I'm assuming, should be inbound shortly. But we have two-fourths of the panel and our special guest, which, that's nice. The guest actually arrived before the panel this time. This is weird.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. Glad to have you, Orange Hat. So for those of you that don't know, Orange Hat Reviews, he has a really good channel, really good pop culture stuff that he does on his channel. He talks about movies, television, and the relevant things that are going on in pop culture, which makes him such a good guest for this show.
Mm-hmm. And streams with me a lot.
Yeah, and he also frequently guests across the streams on the different Fandom Menace channels. So, Orange Hat is an esteemed fellow. Now, and furthermore, he's a good personal friend. So I'm very glad to have him here. And now, your most recent videos, Orange Hat, didn't you do some recent movie reviews as well?
Yeah, I did one on Terminator. I did a TV show review on the Batwoman's 5th episode. And I also did a spoiler discussion on Terminator Dark Fate.
No, nice.
Yep, those are my most recent reviews that I've done. The Terminator one, I always, when it comes to movies that I see that have just come out, I will give always a spoiler-free review at first. And then if I want to discuss spoilers, I'll release that one like either a day or two later. And as much of a Terminator fan that I am, I cannot honestly say that I enjoyed Terminator Dark Fate because it was pushing heavy political and identity political crap that I absolutely hate having in films because it does ruin films.
Right. Yeah.
It's very good content.
Yeah, and the speculation beforehand that a lot of people had was that it was going to go that way. So I am absolutely not surprised that it went that way. Essentially, from what I understand from everything that I've read and that I've heard about it, it basically put a grave wound in the franchise, to be honest.
It divided the franchise worse than any of the previous failed sequels did. This movie was a hodgepodge of failed concepts. They took concepts from failed sequels, updated them, and put them into this movie and changed a little bit of here and there. And they
yeah, but it's not just the woke part though, Rosetta.
I'm saying they added that on top of all the other.
Yeah,
they made it worse, but they also made it political too. I mean, James Cameron and Schwarzenegger both said early on in production when they were down at the border protesting and stuff. They basically said, "We're going to use the Terminator movie to kind of thumb our nose at the administration." I'm like, already this movie sounds terrible. Mm-hmm. Already. I didn't even know any of the casting or any of that stuff. And then I saw the stuff when they showed the first official image of Dark Fate, and it showed the three women, Connor, Grace, and Danny Ramos. I'm like, where's John Connor? That was the biggest question that everybody asked when the trailer came out, or then the teaser came out. Everybody's wondering, Where's John Connor? Then the next trailer came out. Where's John Connor? Then the final trailer came out. Where the F is John Connor? Well, then we all see the movie, and plus, I already knew where John Connor was because the leaks came out, and they came out from a very accurate and consistently accurate source, Mr. H Reviews. That dude has some serious connects, and when he dropped the stuff, he said the leaks are confirmed. And I'm like, oh, this guy has gotten it right on like a bunch of other movies that he's reported on beforehand. So yeah.
So essentially, John Connor's gone, dead and gone. Then
he's dead in the first 5 minutes, even less.
Yeah,
I mean, another T-800 came in and blasted him with a shotgun. But the thing that I will say, the thing I will give them props for is they did a very good job making Linda Hamilton look exactly like she did back in the 90s. Perfectly done with the de-aging. I mean, it's like, holy shit, that is like very well done. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, they kind of, it's like, yes, that does look like him, but goddamn, it also doesn't in a way. But the whole story was just, it's like things that didn't make sense, unnecessary brutality towards men, and
of course,
yeah, I mean, the character, or Tim Miller did that stupid thing that's saying this movie will scare the F out of, or Grace's character will scare the F out of closeted misogynists, and it's like, dude, really? And he uses the phrase, if you are enlightened, she'll play like gangbusters. It's like, what do you mean by enlightened, Drip or Tim? Huh?
Yeah. Enlightened. Yeah.
I know. Basically, if you're woke, you won't have. It's like, dude, I don't have to be woke, and also you're full of crap. First off, so you're saying that she'll come across as strong and feminine. I didn't see a feminine bone in that woman's cybernetic body. I mean, seriously. She just beats the hell out of all these guys in certain scenes, knocking guys' heads into walls to buckle the walls. She actually has to be violent towards one woman. What does she do? She just slaps her right across the face to knock her. I'm like, oh. So you got a serious disdain for guys. I mean, you'll knock their heads in the wall, probably cracking their skulls and killing them. But when it comes to a woman, you'll be very kind, gentle, just knock her out with a slap across the face. And
yeah, see it.
I mean, they pulled some overt political stuff in this movie. Not anything.
I don't think that's overt, dude. That sounds pretty damn blatant to me.
Well, yeah, but the political about it. Yeah, the political stuff is the overt political stuff was Sarah Connor, or they get caught at the border. We're discussing spoilers. This movie has been out for a week. They're basically saying, or they get caught at the border, and Sarah Connor says, she's my granddaughter. Please don't separate us, and this and that. What happens in the movie? They separate Sarah from Danny. They put them in separate cages. The whole kids in cages thing, and it's like, really? You guys are seriously going this route? Come on. You seriously have to push that narrative.
Yeah,
it's just, it was way pathetic.
I was like, just I was fully expecting that was going to happen, just from everything I'd been hearing ahead of time. But it's just absolutely disgusting to do that to a franchise that has been around for a long time, and they're just going to go ahead and throw it down the toilet, basically, in order to say Orange Man bad. And it's like, man, come on. It's people are very sick of this,
They are.
It's just
we don't even have to like either side. We just are sick and tired of seeing each side bashed constantly in different places.
yeah. I mean,
Let us enjoy pop culture.
mass entertainment is there for entertainment purposes. It's not there to be a propaganda tool. It's not there to be, a political stance tool. It's there for, just escapist entertainment. And the thing that bothers me is time and again, modern Hollywood is learning the hard lesson.
Yeah.
The movie is bombing. I've seen the numbers. The movie is absolutely bombing.
Go woke, go broke.
Get woke, go broke.
Yeah, and it's and like I said, you're not going to get anywhere with that type of messaging in your product, because people have just had it up past their eyebrows with that, and nobody's going to support that. The only people that support it, they're not going to buy T-shirts, they're not going to buy merch. We already know this from Star Wars.
Of course.
People aren't gonna, the people that they're pandering to are not gonna support the product. It's just how it is. They'll casually go see it, eat popcorn, and leave, and that's the last of what they'll think about it. There's not gonna be any individuals.
Yeah. The movie here in my hometown, the owner of the theater, she's like, I'll get the movie so you can do a review for it. And I'm like, all right, thank you so much, because it's been a heavily requested one that I actually do that one. And I did, but ever since, it's like only I don't think even 10 people have gone to see it while it's been here. They've been more interested in Maleficent and whatever's coming next. Now they want to put Charlie's Angels. Yeah, Maleficent was not good. But you got to do what you got to do when it comes to being an independent small town theater.
And that's another issue, because they really do strong arm these small town theaters that you got to carry this. You got to carry it for this many weeks. You got to do this. You got to do that. Otherwise, we're not going to let you get this or this or this or this in future movies. We're not going to let you have this. And they really bully them into carrying these movies that are crap. And that's because they'll boost their numbers. Because if it's the only thing playing, people will go out of desperation.
Exactly. And one of the things, and I mean, but going back into T3, the official T3 as they call it now, I mean, I'm friends with people that have a difference of opinion to me. They actually are, and they're like, I'm in a group, fans of the Terminator franchise on Facebook, and they're like, some of the people in there is like, if you don't like it, you're a fake fan. And I'm like, what? Why does that make me a fake fan? Because a real Terminator fan would like the movie. It's like, no, a real critical Terminator fan. Yeah, a real critical Terminator fan would look at this movie and actually say it broke the rules to its own universe. First off,
if you break your if you break too far from your canon and you break too far from your established lore, that's when you cause continuity issues.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't even have to. We don't even have to get into the whole stupid, identity politics filler that they threw in there. It's just if you're breaking the lore and breaking the rules of your canon, there's not going to be any continuity or any sort of flow from the previous stories to this one. And that's going to screw people up that are actual fans of the franchise, that the people that actually go and can watch the movie and can just kind of roll their eyes and compartmentalize the other stuff. But if there's no continuity lore wise, Yeah,
Exactly.
then a movie is sunk at that point.
I mean, everybody knows. Or go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the thing I don't get is these kinds of people that, well, I'm a fan of the franchise. I have to be there for it. I have to support it. Well, why? I don't get the fan no matter what they do mindset. I don't get the if you're not with us, you're against us mindset.
Yeah, that's kind of the Anakin Skywalker mantra.
Which
Well,
you can throw a little politics in without being so overt that it's in people's faces and absolutely kills people on both sides. Because they did with that. Because that was a shot at Bush. We all know it was a shot at Bush.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a very passionate fan about some of the franchises that I like.
But would you sit there and go, no matter what they do, no matter how much they break the lore, I'm going to support them, or would you go?
Especially now that I'm a journalist, I kind of have to go because I like to report on that stuff. But it's like,
I get what I'm saying though. The people who doesn't matter what they do, they'll support it. I don't get that.
I mean, I have to, I have to obviously see it to make a judgment on it.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the diehards who, as he said, if you're not a fan of every single thing they make with this name on it, you're not a real fan.
No,
you have to like everything, no matter what it is. Yeah. You have to go to everything, no matter what it is. That mindset.
It's
a cult mindset.
Well, yeah, I mean that's stupid. You get that in. I mean, the Star Trek fandom is a lot like that because they tend to. They tend to like strong arm people that don't agree with them, and say, this is you should support this because we haven't had Trek in so long, blah blah blah, and that narrative's getting tired because nobody wants to support Discovery because it's
a linchpin of the Star Trek fandoms like that. True Star Trek fans who understood the purpose of the show aren't, because the show was about accepting differences of viewpoints.
Right, but
modern fans are psycho.
Most of the longtime diehard Star Trek fans didn't like Discovery and what it stood for in the first place, being shoehorned into the canon and into the into the franchise, and people didn't want it to begin with. But they went ahead with it, and they did what they did, and so the impressionable and I guess like people that are under Stockholm syndrome because they've been without Trek for so long and just wanted something Trek, decided, we're going to watch Discovery and be religiously. But, the thing is, just because you haven't had something in a long time, I mean, it shouldn't dull your senses to when something sucks. Exactly. And people like, it's almost like they accepted like a very poor quality and something that wasn't representative of the principles and established lore of Star Trek in the first place, just because it had the Star Trek name slapped on it, and it's and it's a crying shame. Obviously I have my own.
It didn't match. They used Star Trek names, but they didn't have any of the purpose, the storyline behavior.
No, not at all. Not at all. And
the thing is, as I said with those movies before, they would have been fine if they didn't try to tie them to Star Trek, if they just tried to make them an action-based popcorn flick sci-fi. Without trying to tie it to Star Trek. If you
bad. See, I look at the films differently. Like the actual, like the 2009 film, the Into Darkness, and even the last one, they actually weren't too bad. But when you get into the TV show side of things, Discovery is an absolute abomination.
On that one, I'm saying is the problem I have with the movies is that they tried to make it Star Trek, even though it was more action based. overall, it wasn't a horrible movie. It wasn't really Star Trek spirit.
Yeah, I mean, would I have liked something that was akin to like Nemesis or
Not Nemesis.
I liked Nemesis.
Ugh.
Um,
The only movie out of any of the originals I cannot make myself watch.
I didn't mind.
I
this,
prefer
except
I prefer
that
the
they
next
killed it.
I prefer the next gen movies to the original cast.
I
movies.
do. I love the next gen movies, except for Nemesis.
I like the next gen movie
Nemesis was good.
Nemesis was good. The only thing I didn't like was that they actually killed Data, and I'm like, you fucker.
There's issues I have with the storyline, and that's one of them. But there's several.
But
But at least it had a Star Trek issues. It had
I mean, yeah, I'll go with you on that. I didn't like the freaky Deanna Troy like mind rape thing, but
Yeah, that was.
other than that, it was all right.
Yeah.
But I love most of those movies. And the thing that I had that I didn't like about the new ones was that they just didn't have the cerebral, intellectual side of Star Trek. It was popcorn. It was action. And I don't have a problem with popcorn and action. I just don't like it parading as Star Trek.
Because I mean, it felt pretty fairly Star Trek to me. Because I mean, I thought Pine did a good job nailing Kirk. Quinto did a bang up job on Spock, and friggin' Carl Urban. Oh my God, did Carl Urban nail McCoy?
He was a great Bones.
He was in Backbones. Like I said, my issue was just I didn't have the less action, more cerebral, more discussion, more intellectual. It's Star Trek. That's what Star Trek was the niche for.
Yeah, I mean there could have been some more stuff, and I see your point, Rosetta. You got a good point about it, but the movies, most of us can agree to accept, but when it went to Discovery, it was just no. After all the stuff that
the freaking pivot to the Tribbles with the short track.
Oh yeah, well those recent short tracks are just stupid, man. I mean, they just blow cannon out of the water.
Even ignoring that, we made him a food source by adding human genes to him. Hannibal Lecter, anybody?
Yeah, that does kind of sound odd.
Yeah, that's odd.
That is creepy.
I mean, Tribble. Last time I ever saw Tribble was in the Star Trek
DS9
Into
crossover.
Darkness with Khan.
Was the best one.
And I'm like, he's like, Bones, what are you doing with that Tribble? Tribble's dead. I'm putting some of Khan's platelets into it. And then I'm like, okay. So, and I'm looking at this little furry little blurb, and I'm like, so that's what a freaking Tribble looks like, huh?
Yeah.
Because I never saw the original television show of the original Star Trek where they had two episodes with Tribbles in them. Or Troubles with Tribbles and Tribbles and Trouble or some shit like that.
No, there was the Tribble episode in the original series, and then there was a crossover with Deep Space Nine where it was Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah, but that was...
And that one was well done.
That was well done, but that was basically like a splice together type of thing.
It was absolutely spliced together throwback, and it was absolutely a time travel
good, yeah.
But it was well freaking done.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. It's one of my favorite episodes, actually, of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, same here. I loved Tribble stuff growing up. So,
but
just like.
But I will say this though, like, and Orange Hat can appreciate this because he's a movie reviewer, dude. If they ever are able to somehow use the JJ cast and get Tarantino to do the next film in that installment, man, I would go see that. That'll be friggin' epic.
I'm not going to agree there.
One problem with that. They would have to bring back.
Tino there. It's just he's not
They would have
cerebral.
to bring one.
I want the old style Star Trek.
Yeah, they would have to bring one person back from the dead in order to do that. Anton Yelchin died shortly after the third Star Trek movie was released.
Yeah, I know that, but they could, I'm sure that they can.
It wouldn't be the same because Anton Yelchin did a very good Chekhov, in my opinion. And he even met the guy that played the original Chekhov.
I thought his version of Chekhov was really good.
Yeah. And it's like,
Pine's Kirk was so good, dude.
It was.
I don't dislike Christopher Pine. Like I said, I want to like him, but I'm such a purist on Star Trek stuff when it comes to keeping that cerebral, intellectual, the scientific side of it.
Yeah, but I like Chris Pine's version of Kirk.
No, Pine himself, I like his acting style for it. I just didn't like Kirk because I was such an obsessive person with original series.
Well, you also got to look at it this way, Rosetta. This Kirk is a very different Kirk from the Kirk that was in the original. Because
I know that. I still don't like it. And it's not against him or the movie itself. It's just that it doesn't have that cerebral aspect. And I know I'm a purist in a nutcase on that.
Because these two
I'm not the only one.
Live very different lives. I mean the Kirk from Time, his universe, which is the Shatner Kirk. Shatner Kirk knew his father. Shatner Kirk, or they never had an event that killed his father, and he grew up to be a different. Or, he didn't grow up to be a mama's boy, nor did he grow up to be too much of a rogue. I mean, yes, he cheated on the Kobayashi Maru in both universes, but he didn't have the same flair that the Chris Pine Kirk did. Where
I'm not sure if you guys quite understand what I mean with it. I'm not saying Pine didn't do a brilliant job. I'm saying that the overall feel of the movies just didn't have it to the original series. And that's not an attack on any actors. That's the way they directed it and filmed it.
Yeah. One of the things with J.J. Abrams, I will say this with J.J. Abrams when he did Star Trek, the first one, he kept a measure of realism because whenever anybody went out into space that was not in the ship, it was silent. There's no sound in space. No sound registers. So when people got blown out of the ship and they were out floating in space, everything just goes silent, and you can literally see all the explosions, the phasers, and all of that stuff going on. So it kind of gave you a kind of first-person view of them being sucked out into space, And, yeah, it's not going to be the same as the other one, so I do understand where you're coming from, Rosetta. But there is one thing that I can say about JJ in that instance is he really kept a good attention to detail.
Yeah, I just wish he would have laid off the lens flare.
Yes. Oh, dear God. I so agree with
lens flare.
I mean, that dude seems to be so freaking obsessed with that. I don't know why.
Hollywood is, and maybe it's the photographer, maybe it's the artist, the stuff I do. Lens flare is always supposed to be a sign that you're not getting the right angles, that you're not getting it properly. So I see lens flare, and the thing my brain says is failed shot, and it brings me out of it.
I mean, one thing that I did like, who played Admiral Pike or Captain Pike or what was he?
Oh God, I can't think of the actor for the life of me. Oh damn, I can't remember his name. Shit.
Anyway, he played Anton Yelchin in chess during the making of the original or of the first Star Trek movie, and they were talking about it in the special features, and he's like, "Yeah, I Greenwood, Bruce Greenwood, I think his name is, but yeah, they're like, Bruce, I beat him in chess and this and that because Bruce says he's a grandmaster, and Anton Yelchin beat him, and then they go to Bruce to talk to him, and he's just like deadpan looking at the camera like, no, or next question. It's like, what, you couldn't admit that you lost the chess?
I think where I lost it, I could handle the first one, even though it still didn't have that feeling. It wasn't bad as a movie. And the thing is, I actually really liked Cumberbatch overall. I hated how they wrote his version of Khan, though. Not how he played, how they wrote it.
Yeah, it's some of the things that Khan did was spot on Khan from the original. Huh?
They also made the Federation the villain. That he was defending his crew, who they were torturing him and using him.
Yeah,
That I had a serious issue with.
exactly, and it's like these people are. But when he just went full out villain, it's like, God damn.
Yeah, it went beyond just the superhuman abilities that Khan had and turned him into an actual like superhero, almost god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that they made Khan kind of a badass. You know, I mean, I didn't mind that.
Slightly genetically engineered.
Because we never got to see like any good like action with Khan when Khan was fighting those Klingons. That was pretty epic.
Yeah, that was taking shots with a humongous cannon, man.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It wasn't originally planned as an action character. It was planned as an intellectual battle of wills.
But by the way, guys, make sure you check out Orange Hat Reviews channels.
Once he mentioned Star Trek, I kind of took over.
I linked it in our chat, and you know, you guys can check out his channel from there. I highly urge you to subscribe because Orange's movie reviews and TV reviews are awesome. And
I'll give it to you guys straight too. I mean, I don't beat around the bush. I shill for nobody. I'll give it to you 100%, brutally blunt, honest.
Yeah, Orange reviews movies and television like I write about movies and television. So yeah, you know, you'll get the straight up version from him at all times. So yeah. I respect the hell out of him for that. So no, I know that in about 5 days we've got Disney Plus coming, and we've got, of course, the Mandalorian on the way, and you know, again, guys, with things that happened personally, those of you that don't know, if you follow me on Twitter, the stuff that's going on with my mom and everything, you know, and I've been out of the loop for over a week, but as of today, you know, my esteemed boss, John F. Trent, he wrote a good story on The Mandalorian on boundingintocomics.com. And let me pull it up on my screen here. Share screen. There we go. Let's see. Okay. We'll go ahead and share this. Okay. So alleged plot details from the Mandalorian's pilot episode tease return of iconic Star Wars character. And mind you, we have to kind of take this with a grain of salt. And we were discussing this before we went live because both Orange Hat and I, you know, we kind of take a skeptical eye at these type of things because, you know, leaks are leaks. You never know if they're true.
Ditto that.
Or false. So take it with a grain of salt until you actually see it on the screen. That's the way I look at it. So basically, the alleged leak says that the Mandalorian is going to be retconned to be Boba Fett that escaped the Sarlacc pit. And now there are a few issues with this, obviously. Sure, it can be done because, you know, the EU books are obviously not canon, and they haven't pulled any Boba Fett stuff from the EU into canon yet, really, aside from a couple things in Clone Wars, maybe, but that's pretty much it. So, I look at it this way. It's plausible, but my biggest thing is, to me, it's still kind of a reach. So what saith you, Orange?
If they go that route, subjectively, I would give that show a fail because, one, everybody knows Boba Fett. I mean, yes, there is no expanded lore in the Disney canon, sure, but everybody knows, even after the Disney edited versions of the original trilogy and all that stuff, Tamora Morrison is the Fets. He's Boba, he's Jango. And if this guy has a different voice, people are going to realize that. People are going to notice that. And also, Boba Fett had a very specific look, and he had a very specific armor. If you are going to start changing all that to show him in the look that the Mandalorian has, it's way too much of a stretch. And it's a decent view, or it's a decent leak. It's probably being done to see how many original and Fett fans they can get to the table to check out the show. I mean, I'm gonna give it with about as much grain of salt as I can with anything that Disney does, because most people who know my channel, who actually know my videos, they know I do not like Disney. I will not subscribe to anything Disney. If I have to review a movie that is Disney, the wonderful thing about small town theaters, you can get a gift certificate and it will not be punched towards the box office. Not even the ticket itself. All so right. They will not allow, or my theater knows that I am on a full Disney boycott. So I will not, I mean, I will find a way to see The Mandalorian. I will find a way to watch it without Disney getting my money. So yes, I will check it out and I'll review it. And if it's interesting, fine. I know that it's in the hands of Jon Favreau, which he actually does some decent movies here and there. But one thing that Odin actually said from Odin's Movie Blog, they're using actual original camera talent and models for spaceships. And I'm like, that shows dedication.
Well, you can if you from the most recent trailer, which was awesome, by the way. I mean, you can see the amount of work and just touch put into it. And is it highly amusing right now that, dude, the Mandalorian visually and just like with the craftsmanship and everything that is being put into it, dude, it's just like, you watch that trailer, if you put it side by side with the episode 9 trailer, it's laughable. Like the amount of like love that's put into the Mandalorian, and then you look on the other side at the Rise of Skywalker, it's just a head scratcher. It's like, man, come on.
Yeah, it's everything in the Rise of Skywalker. It's a digital playground, basically. Now, if you look at the Mandalorian, this is down, dirty, and gritty, because that's what the Mandalorian. Anybody who knows the EU Mandalorians, not this pacifist crap that George Lucas tried selling in Clone Wars, but the EU Mandalorians, they were down, they were dirty, they were gritty, and they got stuff done. So,
well, even more than that, I mean, it's got to make sense. So if you just go from the standpoint of the time period, okay, Death Star 2 just blew up. There's a power vacuum, and the underworld is going to be scrambling around to, get markets thriving in smuggling, bounty hunting, gun running, everything that you could possibly imagine. So, the Mandalorians have always had a hand in that because, with Mandalorians that we know just from EU lore, from lore in general, when there's not war going on, I mean, they do what they can do to make money, and a lot of what they do is, they're good at hunting, they're good, they're good at bounty hunting and things like that. So, of course, they're going to jump all over that. So people that are bounty hunters and arms dealers, the exchange people like that are going to be jumping on this power vacuum in this time period. Mandalorian takes all that into account. It's like faithful to that. So you can see, right just from the trailer that they are approaching it the right way. Again, we talked about continuity earlier. There's a continuity here. And then you look on the other side, and it just seems, it's like, you scratch your head at Rise of Skywalker because you think about what could have been, because there could have been continuity there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the wonderful thing about, or I've often said this when reading the EU legends about the Mandalorians, they're a lot like the Irish, and yes, I am Irish or of Irish heritage. And one of the things about the Irish, some of them, they're farmers, very good farmers. Also, they're scrappers, very good scrappers. And another thing about the Irish, they care a great deal about family. Those are three things that the Mandalorians absolutely hold dear: family, fighting, and farming. They make, like you said, Drew, they make a living out of certain things. They do what they can to get by. In times of peace, they prepare for war. Their iron is the strongest iron or metal in the Star Wars universe. Legends, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think, surprisingly, in this current Disney era of Star Wars, we actually just may finally be in for one quality Star Wars product. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I look at it as, we might finally get at least one bone.
Yep. I mean,
a little to take a lot more. That's how this keeps happening right now.
Yeah, but no, continue on you guys' points though. I'll be right back. I just have to run the restroom for a minute.
And I'm trying to figure and think about this. For me, there's so many things they could have done better. They could have given more complexity to everything. But instead, they just went for the easiest way to throw away the EU, not have to think about which parts to use, and make these weird stories that don't have a logical sense off each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem is none of these stories make sense when you put them with the other stories around them. And now they want to basically bring in one of the most popular villain characters that graced the original movies just so they can try to get some of the original fans back because they know that we all think they suck.
Yeah, they're banking on nostalgia with Palpatine.
Won't work for me. And with Boba. And with this whole... all of it. They keep trying to find these ways to try to bring us back. Say, you come back. See, we'll do this. We actually care what you think. It's a lie, people.
And it is. It's a very big lie. And And one of the things that we got Mega Jetty in the chat.
I love
Hell,
Jetty.
how you doing, Jetty? But yeah, the thing is, they're banking on so much nostalgia that they're expecting that people are just going to forget all the things that Disney has done behind the scenes. As fans, we take a look behind the scenes, and we will also always pay attention to it. We're not going to just say, okay, despite all the bad things that they have said about fans, despite Ryan Johnson telling people to suck him off because he didn't, or because we asked him a question about the disappearing knife in episode 8,
That's hilarious. That scene is so freaking hilarious.
I know. I mean,
you don't even need that knife to disappear for it to make any sense. She's like this. His arm's right here. All he had to do is literally go like that and could have cut her entire chest and stomach and heart out.
Oh, I needed that.
And the thing is, their channels. There's a guy that's on here. His name's Chadiversity. He went frame by frame and destroyed the throne room fight from episode 8.
Oh, I love his stuff.
And I'm like, he's not wrong with all of this stuff. There's stuff he pointed out that I swore I never saw. And it's like,
every video, but he's spot on.
I saw that actually. I saw that. I
love his page.
That was
channel is awesome, man.
That was a great analysis. You know, the thing that I've also noticed as far as in film, you know, and I wanted to segue to this point because I've been dying to get your take on this, Orange Hat, was have you noticed that there is, I don't know, kind of a void like in the horror genre? It seems like horror doesn't know what way to go, and it's like you know, I wanted to see like something compelling come out. You know, I think like the stuff with the Halloween, the recent Halloween movie, kind of helped, but the slasher genre needs to make a comeback. I feel like
it does, but it also needs to come out with things that, because the problem with Hollywood nowadays, they're getting too PC, and it is affecting all the genres. It's not just affecting the sci-fi and the action. It's affecting even horror and romance and all that stuff. And everybody saw the rumors about the new Friday the 13th, all females up against Jason Voorhees. It's like, but why? Why can't there be a couple guys in there that also fight him, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's a staple of Friday the 13th movies, because you had, you know, all the time, you know, that's what made the Friday the 13th movies fun, because you could go and you're like, oh man, you know, I get to see Jason kick the ass of, let's see, the dickhead jock, the rich guy,
the rich guy,
yeah,
all of them.
You know, and so you had to have like those couple of like token stereotype dudes in there that would piss you off and you hated them, and that way you'd be happy when like Jason lopped their head off or whatever. But you know, but I mean that's part of the thing that made the movie. And then, you know, and then you had like the stereotypical chicks. You had the, you know, greedy materialistic broad, and you had the chick that was like the rich girl, and then you had the chick that was, you know, hidden amongst all of them, and the actual heroine that was like the good, you know, like the decent chick. But you know, but you had all these, you know, really not good people like there to get their ass kicked, and it was great because, you know, that's what made the movie. I don't see how you're gonna pull it off with just going
All females, yeah.
all females. I mean, that goes against the classic Friday the 13th formula.
I mean,
And of course, you got to have enough guys there because I mean, the underlying thing in Friday the 13th is like don't have premarital sex or Jason's gonna kill you. So
or dope and all that stuff, yeah. But here's the thing: people are gonna say, "What? You don't think a guy can defeat, or you don't think a woman can defeat Jason?" And I am waiting for somebody to drop that line because,
dude, I don't even
all the freaking movies where Jason is bitten. Who the frick kills Jason most of the time? A freaking woman.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to hear that argument because, dude, you go back to was it oh God. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in 6, wasn't it? The girl that had the telekinesis that kicked his ass.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
That was in 6, and nobody can come with that argument because I will destroy them because I'll just be like, yeah, pop in part 6 and watch it, and then come talk to me.
Yeah, watch the first original freaking Friday the 13th. Who's the one that lops the head off of freaking Jason's mother? Oh, female.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, exactly. But speaking to all of horror, there is a fundamental thing missing. I mean, I love how when the Underworld movies came out, it wasn't just horror; it was also horror sci-fi. And the first Underworld movie was amazing. Even nowadays it still is very good. It holds up pretty well. But
dude, and I also don't mind like sitting there for 2 hours watching Kate Beckinsale in a skin tight bodysuit either.
Exactly. I'm not
going to complain about that.
What is not to love about that? But the problem that the Underworld franchise made, and as much as I love the Underworld franchise, they kept changing the design of the werewolves. And it's like, how are you going to sell this kind of, or if you're always changing with each movie, excuse me, I got the hiccups. If you're always changing with each movie what you're doing, people are going to say, okay, this is weird, this is weird. That's why the franchise didn't really pan out after the 5th installment. And
because like, they changed the Lycan so much around that, like, people were scratching their heads like, this is a little hard to follow because, because you didn't see, the evolution in the Lycans. I guess it was that sort of trope, that sort of lazy writing where it was supposedly happened off screen. So that's where you lose people, because when they don't understand that, then it becomes a head scratcher, and you're like, well, WTF? Why do they look like this?
Exactly. Now they actually did try to explain that in Underworld 3: Rise of the Lycans, where the Lycans that were bitten by William, or what they called William's spawn, they all looked like William. But the mistake that was done was Underworld 2, where they took the original look of the werewolves from the first movie, and instead of small feet and more cat-like features, they added more hair to them. They made the feet a little wider to be more comfortable for the stunt performers in the suits. And then they explained, well, these, or most of the Lycans you're seeing, are the ones that were changed by William. So of course they would look a little different and whatnot. And I'm like, okay. But then you guys made Underworld 3, where these Lycans all look like William, and except that they're not white like he was.
Okay, so we got a comment from Megadeddy in the chat. He said, it's not so much no premarital sex so much as Jason and Pamela, where he's killed teens having sex because they are a reminder to how he drowned. His counselors were having sex instead of watching kids. That's true too. Yes,
it is. I mean, it's a great call out too. It was a great call out to Freddy versus Jason. Aren't you gonna help the kid? Can't you see I'm busy here?
Oh god, yeah, that was great, dude. That's a classic.
You mean you're not coming? It's not my fault. This bitch is dead on her feet.
The Senate is in the House, man. You
How you
know,
doing, Senate?
it's good. It's good to see Senate, man. Mecha Jetty, it's good to see you too. You know, and thank you guys for your continued, checking up on me on social media and stuff like that through all the rough times that I've been having recently. So, I appreciate you. Senate, man, dude, all I can say is, brother, you are 100% an excellent young man, and I appreciate you. And Mega Jetty, I always got good things to say about you, man. I appreciate you, brother. So thank you guys so much for looking out for a brother. You guys are awesome.
I'll touch your back too. Just saying.
Well, I know that goes without saying. I mean,
I know, just saying crap.
You and Orange Hat. I mean, you guys are fam. You guys have had my back like every day. But
Definitely.
But the thing is, though, is like, yeah, horror in general is missing out, dude. Like I don't know. Like I would really like to see Hellraiser make a comeback. And I've been saying, there was a graphic novel, I believe, or something akin to that, where basically, I guess Pinhead was on the way out. So he passed the mantle of Pinhead on to Kirsty, and she took over in hell as the new Pinhead. I would be fine with that.
I would be fine with it too. But you also got to question the motives, especially nowadays. Or when was this graphic novel out, or did it come out?
God, it was years ago, because it was a number of years ago. I know that. But
all right, so then
I want to say,
then there's no worry of it being for identity politic motives, because back then versus now, if you're bringing in female characters, that you gotta wonder what the motive is. Because are you doing it just because you want to bring in a female, or are you doing it because, well, whatever? Or are you doing it strictly for a different reason? Because nowadays you just gotta wonder. I mean, I have nothing wrong, or I have nothing against females, folks. To the viewers watching, I have nothing against diversity and whatnot. What I have a problem with is forced diversity, which is like many of the people in the fandom menace.
exactly.
We have no problem with diversity. What we have is when you try to shove it down our throats.
Yeah, I mean, calling me sexist, anti-minority, and stuff. I'm mixed race female. How does that work, people?
Well,
exactly.
I don't want it forced. I don't want your politics added to it. Just give us good characters of these different backgrounds.
it's like with the stuff like if you did something like that, people that understand the lore and the general like story of Hellraiser, even though like I mean, you could probably throw out all the sequels after like probably 3. Or okay, you could throw them all out after 4. Bloodline's acceptable too. It is kind of so as Bloodline was. Like, it was still pretty good. Like, but you can throw all that stuff out. But if you understand the core story, I mean, sure, that sort of like natural circle, Pinhead passing the mantle on to Kirsty could work. Because it's already established in the lore that, they have a connection. Okay, so that isn't super far-fetched. But if they brought it back and just said, okay, here's random female Pinhead, then you're just like, scratch your head like, what the hell is this? Because, at that point, it's just, hey, we're giving you female Pinhead to give you female Pinhead.
Yeah, you're just checking off a box and not or not and you're not really paying attention to the story. That's another thing. When you're pushing an agenda, you're sacrificing story.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to do another Hellraiser, even if they did another male Pinhead, I want to see them. I want to see some sort of connection there, where the mantle passed somewhere, so that I understand it. Quick question: what is Battlestar Galactica?
We probably should change the.
Oh, freaking crap, Senate! You're just too young.
Okay, all right, Senate.
Ah.
So there is a show called Battlestar Galactica, and mainly when we do this panel, we usually start off at the beginning talking about Battlestar Galactica. I mean, obviously, the other panel members didn't make it, so we just kind of we're doing kind of a free-form stream for tonight. But normally we talk about Battlestar Galactica. It was on from 2003 to 2008. It was a really good show. Science fiction, but really and truly it was more a good human drama. And then there was also, it was loosely based on the original Battlestar Galactica, which ran for one season, and that was back in 1978. And that was a very, the original Battlestar Galactica was an answer, the TV's answer to Star Wars. It was really campy, lasers, type of thing.
So cute.
It was pretty good for that time. But by and large, a lot of people sort of enjoy... they have a fondness in their heart for the 78 series, people that are old enough to remember it. But by and large, most of the Battlestar fandom, because they fall into the, probably 20s, 30s category nowadays, they kind of know the 2000s show. So yeah, that's essentially what it is. It would take me hours to actually explain the continuity to you. All I can say is, if you do want to binge watch it, if you have the ability to kind of, go to certain places and binge watch it, I highly suggest that you binge watch Battlestar Galactica, because it's a great piece of television, dude. The 4 seasons that it ran, the story was amazing.
I'm just letting you talk while I tease him in chat.
No, yeah, that's fine. I know you guys are gonna give him.
No, Senate's my boy. He supports my streams so much.
We'll give him a little bit of a hard time, but
because he's young enough to be my son, and sometimes he's naive enough to be my kid.
I know. I mean, he's a great kid. I'd adopt him. No doubt.
Says that he'll put it on his infinite watch list of stuff people scream at me for not watching, which is basically everything. So I told him to add it. Odin's ladies.
I'll tell you what, Senate. If you get to watch that show at some point and you get caught up on it, if you binge watch all 4 seasons, and then you can guest on this panel at one of these times, and we'll talk all things BSG. So there you go. But
by the way, Senate, from what I could find, if anybody has a Prime account, they do have it listed on Amazon Prime's shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is on there as well.
Because I've been trying to watch it, but again, I've been injured and through all kinds of crap the last couple of weeks. So,
plus, she's been painting like a fiend.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fiend.
I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty funny. Like the most current thing that I'm up on in this time that since mom had her stroke and she's been in the hospital, all I've really had a chance to kind of watch in between was wrestling lately. That's about it. Like, because that was like the only thing I actually had time to like kind of watch in between. So like, yeah, I'm up on wrestling, guys. I know
not real wrestling.
I know what's going on with the WWE, like by heart right now.
Sorry,
I haven't watched wrestling since. This is how old you could date me, guys. Last time I paid attention to the WWE was when it was WWF, and Stone Cold Steve Austin got 50% of the company.
when I was in school doing wrestling, that was wrestling.
Dude,
When I got kicked out of wrestling, that was wrestling. WWE is a stage show.
Dude, Stone Cold was so awesome though.
Yes, he was.
That was
People like it, great. I'm again.
That was
like,
my dude.
Like Star Trek, I'm a purist on wrestling.
I always said if I ever ran into like if I ever ran into one of those like Antifa assholes, I would give him the Stone Cold Stunner.
Nice. I mean, one of the things that I absolutely loved about that last time I saw it was back then they were censoring the middle finger. But when he got 50%, he basically, it's like, well, first off, one of the things I'm changing is our little censorship problem. And then he just gives Vince and Sean the big old finger and they don't censor it. And it's like, okay, awesome. That's cool. And then this was 21 years ago. And then they're like, and then he's like, another thing I'm going to change. Everyone has or gets to have one request as long as it involves you. And,
oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Or the family. One of the guys calls out freaking the daughter and asks her out on a date. One of them challenges the kid or the son to a cage match. And another one wants to fight Vince and whatnot. It was just pure. It's like, wow.
Oh, man. So Mega Jetty brought up a good point about Battlestar Galactica. I only know Battlestar Galactica is a TV knockoff of Star Wars, which, yeah, you're right, Mega Jetty. In 78, that's exactly what the 78 show spawned from. The actor who played Face from the A-Team was the original Starbuck, and yes, he was Dirk Benedict. That was.
I'm going to say something here to what I just put in there in the comment. That, by the way, is why you shouldn't have both genders in the same teams, because I kind of learned that the hard way as a teenager.
Oh yeah, I never watched wrestling, or I was in wrestling till one of the guys. It was going back.
Thought he was going to back me into a wall and grope me repeatedly. I got kicked out when I responded to him.
Yeah. There's one girl that we didn't have wrestling in our school.
I hope guy, all I can say, Rosetta, is I hope that guy got his coconuts twisted into oblivion.
Not twisted need.
No,
nice.
Okay.
To the point where he was in the nurse for a couple days.
There you go.
So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, that's right there one of the reasons why co-ed sports teams are not a good idea, especially when you're talking about teenage hormonal boys.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing though that I wanted to stick with was I think that hopefully with all the stuff that's changing in entertainment, I don't know, Orange, if you agree with me on this, but I think in the next probably 5 years, there's going to be a shift in the industry. And I say this because all the identity politics stuff is flopping.
It's starting to, yes, but the problem is things are basically, it's always darkest right before the dawn, kind of like what Harvey Dent says in Dark Knight. And things have gotten dark, but chances are they're going to get darker. We have a corporation that is literally buying up a bunch of freaking production houses because of whatever reasons, and it's the one that we all love to hate, which is Disney. And nobody is calling out the fact that Disney is doing some very shady things. Now, yes, people are starting to become more aware that movies that are pushing agendas are not doing as well as they could. But if you have a logo like the Disney moniker, or if it's a good franchise like the Terminator franchise, or something like anything that has Marvel, Disney, whatever, you're going to have those blind fans, those fans that you can literally take a leak in a jar, slap the freaking logo on it, and say, this came from them. Would you buy it? Most of these people would.
I think you were closer with the word you were starting to use.
Say what?
I think you were closer with the word you were starting to use.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah. Spot on, man. They're idiots. Go for it. It's pretty much. It's pretty much like, you know, lemmings following the herd. And yeah, you're always going to have those types that do that. And, you know, I think there's enough honest, like, independent media, though, like yourself, like us at Bounding Into Comics, like, you know, the rest of the YouTubers out there, you know, Rosetta and you know, all you guys in the Fandom Menace, everybody here understands that we have a certain amount of influence, and if we continue to bring accountability to what is coming out, I think that we can affect change. We really can, you guys, and that's why I say I think the industry is going to do 180 here in the next 5 years. And I mean, that's not going to hurt if next year if Trump gets another White House, you know, gets reelected. That's not going to hurt either. That's going to help a lot too. But you know, it's just.
But one of the things that does need to happen, and I am sincerely praying it does, everybody knows about the SEC investigation into Disney.
Yeah.
If they are found guilty of revenue inflation, they could lose up to tens of billions of dollars. And if they lose at least up to $40 billion, they're going to have to sell off a lot of their properties. They might actually have to sell off their Fox shares. They will have to sell off. They won't get rid of Star Wars or Marvel because those are cash cows. Let's be frank.
Oh my God, Rosetta brought up Mr. Nan. That's a good movie, dude. That is so underrated. That's like
I kind of threw Drew off for being able to hold his face.
That's like a.
And the first thing I thought of is tough is a 300-pound man in tights and him dancing in the pink tutu.
Oh my God, I do remember Mr. Nanny. That was a great movie.
That's a cult classic, man. Oh, that's great.
It is. So was Suburban Commando. Hulk Hogan was a good actor, regardless of. I mean, he was a great wrestler, but he was one hell of an actor too.
Yeah, but you know, I was actually kind of disappointed, dude, that they didn't throw him in the Expendables. That would have been awesome.
Holy shit, that would have been awesome. I mean, I miss a lot of the old wrestlers like Bam Bam Bigelow. I think he's dead. But also, I miss people like Sergeant Slaughter and a lot of the originals. I mean,
dude, sadly, when they had Sergeant Slaughter, like when they had like two worlds crossover, and he was like, he came out with the G.I. Joe figure, Sergeant Slaughter, and he in the cartoon, dude. Oh man, I marked out so bad. I was like, Sarge, yes. You know,
I mean, I absolutely loved him in that G.I. Joe movie where he's like, this is for this guy, and this is this, and this is for the criminal or the American dream. And he's just going off on the dude's dead, but he just keeps on hitting him on him and whatnot. But I cannot remember who that winged dude was.
dude, really quickly, guys, I want to make this point.
I have to. I'm showing you an image here.
I want to make this point because this will sort of like kind of encapsulate just how far that I guess I want to say that we've regressed to a degree in this country. So I actually one day here on YouTube I came across the old one of the old like intros for G.I. Joe, and there were people actually complaining that it was too American.
Oh, for freak's sake!
I kid you.
For anybody watching, I shared the image of him in the tutu.
I kid you not. There were people complaining on this video, which was the intro for the G.I. Joe cartoon, that it was too blatantly American. There was another comment that said this is white nationalism. There was another comment that said that this is too patriotic. What the hell?
On here. Are we allowed to drop F-bombs in this stream?
I just want to know how in the world, like, are there people? I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around that there's people like living in this country that can make a comment like that. And it's like, what? I mean, who says that? I mean, this was literally, I mean, sure, I understand that back in the 80s, things were a little like over the top patriotic, but it was great. People were actually like together at that point.
Exactly. We're unified. Dude, it's not too much of a stretch or when were these people actually doing this about the G.I. Joe commercial? Saying it's too patriotic and all that?
Oh, God, it's the comments on the video. I'd have to find the video again. I mean, it's not
that they were doing this.
Oh, God. This was like a year or so ago.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's not too much of a stretch. I mean, we had our favorite Mexican Irish actor. Awesome.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Well, Beto O'Rourke, the failed presidential run guy, recently stated that the American flag is offensive, and I'm like, get out of here, man. Get the hell out of the country and don't ever freaking come back. You're not allowed in Ireland either because they would just
pretended to be Hispanic so he could actually attack and harass racially a Hispanic man.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I again, I don't understand how anybody can find, the American flag distasteful unless you're a terrorist. It's like, I mean, what the hell? Like seriously, man, that bothered me.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old school. Maybe it's because of the way I grew up. Maybe it's because my late father was, a 30-year veteran and he's buried in Arlington. But, I mean, it's just, I mean, sure, I'm a patriot. I have pride in my country. I'm always like respectful of the flag. That's how I grew up, man. And I love American ideals. I guess if that makes me like a white nationalist or whatever people want to call me, fine. But
work since you're not white and you're friends with a bunch of people from all over different cultures, but why let facts get in the way of their ridiculous racist narratives, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just baffled, you guys. That when I saw that, I mean, it just like blew my mind. I'm like, what the hell?
One thing about Mr. Nanny. Yeah, one thing about Mr. Nanny for a moment. The one thing I remember explicitly from that movie, except for the tutu scene, was when the tea party with him. Pinky up! And it's like, it's like, oh my gosh, that was great.
I've seen others come before you. Plenty smarter. Not as big, but plenty smarter. No, that was one of my favorites for a long time. This is kind of a demented cult classic. See, I like movies that have absolutely demented and twisted. If they're silly, cheesy, or low-rated movies, especially if they have kids tormenting action. You want another one that fits in that line of the kids tormenting the action guy? Check out The Pacifier with Vin Diesel.
Oh, I remember that movie.
I've seen that and that. Oh my god, movie! The way they made him remember the dance.
So, yeah.
Was it Mr. Nanny where he kept on taking all the potatoes and just scooping them up? If that was it. Was it Mr. Nanny? He was scooping the potatoes and then the woman just like, here, take them all. It was a Hulk Hogan movie where he was at the table. He just kept on scooping the potatoes. I think it was Mr. Nanny.
I have to figure out if I can find somewhere to watch that.
Yeah.
Austin Pendleton. I like a lot of stuff he did.
Yeah.
That was the father in it, the one who was in things like Short Circuit and Muppet Movie and a bunch of that stuff. And Guarding Tess.
Oh my gosh. Short is
Sergeant Bilko.
No, man, the Short Circuit movie.
For somebody to attack the Short Circuit movie.
Johnny
Five. I'm waiting for somebody to attack that movie for whitewashing or
how many Hindu stereotypes they made in it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's coming.
Because if you really pay attention, Fisher Stevens, the guy that plays
he's cutting out again.
Yeah. We're getting some internet issues on Orange.
He has them a lot. It's okay.
Yeah, I know.
He'll be back.
Oh, Surf Ninjas. Oh, my goodness.
I remember the Three Ninjas stuff.
Rocky
loves Emily.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Surf Ninjas. Wow, that's a classic.
I remember the Three Ninjas stuff. That was when I was a kid that they were doing those.
Yeah, I remember that. Man. Dude, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Like, I'm surprised nobody took offense at ET.
Yeah, they're trying to kill the alien and make him go home.
Yeah.
Okay, hello.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like nobody these days would take offense at ET. I'm sure somebody would say that movie is somehow bad.
Apparently, somebody wanted attention
Nice.
because I just got climbed like a beanstalk, and
Well, you know, when cats demand their time, they will cat. They will cat. That's just how it is. You know.
mm-hmm.
So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here shortly in a few minutes. We'll go around the horn. I'm gonna let everybody kind of have the floor. So, Rosetta, what do you have? What do you have going on coming
Same
up
as
in the
always.
future?
When we finish here, do wind down and goof around for a while,
Okay.
and same as always, you guys are invited to come hop over and BS there and joke around, and with a lot less censorship than here because I try to be good on other people's streams, but not on mine.
All right. Orange
Yeah.
Chat, what do you have going on? Any new videos on?
Well, I've been I got a couple planned. I usually wait for a little bit of more news on some things, but I will, or
Okay.
I usually do it day by day. If I see something interesting, I'll give my thoughts on it. But definitely, I'm hoping to possibly be subs by the end of the year. That's my new end of the year goal. Because I recently reached my 200 goal earlier last month. Usually, it's just the day by day with me.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, again, make sure that you check out Orange Hat's channel. He has a really good channel. Does really great work. I really enjoy his movie reviews and everything else. So make sure that if you're not subscribed to him, love him up and subscribe to him because it's well worth the sub. I respect his knowledge on the industry and everything else, and I enjoy his content. So you'll find it enjoyable too if you like staying up on the current stuff in pop culture and entertainment. So make sure that you support his stuff because it's worth it. As for myself, today was the first day I kind of got back on the horse per se. It's been pretty crazy here. It's been really hard with what's been going on with my mom, and again, I thank you guys for being there for me and really being true friends in the face of some really hard things to go through, and I'm sure that my mom's not out of the woods yet, and I'm kind of touch and go in how I'm handling it, but with having such awesome people there for me, it does make it easier. So if you could just try and get the word out about this channel. Maybe one day I'll get to 100 subs. I think I got like 42 subs at the moment or something like that. But
hopefully you gained at least some today because I've been nagging people to subscribe to you all day.
But hopefully, one of these days I get 100 subs and then, then we can celebrate. But, anyways, guys, next week we'll be back to our normal format. We should have the whole panel here. Things got kind of thrown together at the last minute tonight, and I apologize. As you guys know, it's been really hectic, but we'll have the normal panel next week and then everything else. And hey, maybe we'll have Orange Hat back as a guest, and we'll go from there. But yeah, it was just kind of hectic and thrown together. And I know that we didn't get to our usual discussion of the Treadstone TV show, but without Script Doctor here and Brian, it's kind of hard when I don't have my Treadstone experts on with me. So we will cover that again next week. Also, make sure you watch Bounding Into Comics channel, because of course next Wednesday I'll be on again with them. I was supposed to be on last night with them, but obviously it's been kind of crazy. But I will be back and be on with them next week, and also we should by then be able to start a review of the Mandalorian. That's going to be me, my boss John F. Trent, and Script Doctor. So we should have that too. So make sure you check out the Bounding Into Comics channel, guys. Follow and sub there, and you'll see me all over the place. But we'll be back with Battlestar Galactichat next Thursday at the normal time. It'll be 9 p.m. It's at 10 p.m. Eastern, and we'll go our full 2 hours from 9 to 11. But I thank you guys for hanging out, coming in, and spending some time with us. Thank you to Rosetta, who is an absolute sweetheart, and she's always like the shining light of the panel. And thank you to Orange Hat Reviews for being our special guest, and hopefully a recurring guest, because he's my boy. So
yeah, definitely
follow me over and hop in my stream tonight.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, thank you guys again, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Take it easy.